In my last video, I talked about the 3 A's of accuracy. That's aim, anchor, and alignment. If you haven't seen the video, I highly recommend that you do. It goes through in fairly comprehensive detail the fundamental principles of archery. That is, getting an arrow onto the target purposefully and deliberately. Now, I want to clarify that this is not meant to be a process. The 3 A's is a framework. It's to help people talk about what they are doing. It isn't meant to teach you how to be a good marksman from day one to Olympic level. Definitely not. It isn't meant to replace processes. If you learned a modern process like KSL or NTS, or your archery club or your coach is teaching you a 10-step process, this isn't meant to replace that. It's meant to facilitate a discussion on when you troubleshoot issues, which is something to do usually with one of these 3 things. If you clear one, it must be the other 2. If all 3 are clear, then it must be something else in your mentality or your form or something specific. So we're not here to prescribe to you how to shoot. That's not my job here. What I'm here is to show you how you can identify issues. So today we're going to put together in practice the 3 A's, and specifically we're going to do it with the Asiatic recurve and the thumb draw. I said in the video that the same principles apply to any style of archery: recurve, compound, traditional, Asiatic. It's the same principles. The actual execution and technique and equipment may be different, but the same 3 principles still govern where the arrow goes. And for those of us who aren't familiar with Asiatic and thumb draw, the main difference is that we shoot with the thumb, obviously. I'm using a thumb ring, and the arrow goes on the right side of the bow, as I'm a right-handed shooter. So it's the opposite to what people who shoot Western traditional would do. Apart from that, there isn't any significant difference in technique. There will be some execution differences, but the fundamentals are still the same. I've chosen this because, one, many people find it hard to shoot Asiatic if you're not used to training with the arrow on this side. And number 2, there really aren't many resources on how to actually shoot one of these accurately. So a few very important notes in general, but all specific to Asiatic archery. There is not one correct way to shoot one of these bows. Now, what is and isn't correct is often defined by the context and the source material. So if you are learning Kyudo, this is the wrong bow, this is the wrong tool. That's wrong then, fair. But if you are not following a particular style or text, then there's a lot more freedom over what works for you. And that's really the basis I'm working from. I'm not going to teach you Mongol archery or Gao Ying Ming archery or Arab archery or Turkish archery. They have specific techniques which are suited for specific things, and the same applies to modern archery as well. There's no one correct process. Some people swear by one process or one brand name over another. That isn't the point. All these things describe the same goal of trying to build a process which hits a target as consistently as possible. So if you are trying to follow a style authentically, then that's different. I'm going to go through an organic style, which I suppose is a method which I've put together, which I use in my head, which works for me. The important thing is, don't copy what I do and expect to do well. What I do want you to copy is the self-talk. That is what you are saying to yourself when you identify specific things. The key with marksmanship is to shoot with precision as the goal. That means not going by feel, not guessing where the arrow will go, but doing everything you can to ensure the arrow is pointed in the right direction, that you are aligned with the target, and that the arrow is going to go where you point it. I also want to debunk a myth about these kinds of bows. A lot of people have the idea that these bows, being historical, traditional bows, must be shot instinctively, and that's false. You can shoot them instinctively, and instinctive shooting has a particular definition. It isn't necessarily shoot by feel. A lot of people think, oh, I'll just shoot and it's somewhere there and that's instinctive. That's lazy archery, not instinctive archery, that's lazy archery. Instinctive is when the shot is guided by the eyes. So you shoot where you look. Now, that really only applies for a moving target, or when you, the shooter, are moving. If you're on horseback, you can't aim. So you track the target with your eyes and you shoot in that target. If someone's throwing a disc, you track the disc with your eyes and you shoot there. You're not aiming for precision. You're just simply tracking with your eyes, aligning and shooting. That's much more close to what instinctive archery truly is. Now, you can train that habit on a static target, but in most cases, you don't need to. That's not moving, I'm not moving, I'm afforded the time to properly align with the target. And it's important to really point out that not every traditional historical style has speed shooting or instinctive as their primary method. You look at texts like from Japan or China, their styles are very slow and very deliberate. So don't fall into the trap of thinking you have to shoot instinctively or you have to shoot quickly. You can, but those who shoot really quickly might be doing things which aren't very instinctive, and I'll explain that later on. But you will see people train that. For example, when I was working with the ultimate archery groups, they do train a 4-step process. It's meant to replicate a 4-beat gait of a horse, and it's done by drum beat. So you see, as a training drill, they'll go, step 1 is pull the arrow, step 2 is to knock it, step 3 is to shoot it, and step 4 is to reset. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. That's the basis of it, right? Now, again, that's the instinctive stuff. I can't aim. I have to follow a beat. I can't pause and aim. I'm training to shoot instinctively. So if I'm shooting off horseback, I'll be going through 1, 2, 3, 4. And even if you don't follow the 4 beat and you just shoot instinctively, like snap shooting, that works too. Pull back, let go. Same thing, second shot. Just pull it back and let it go. You can see these shots going straight in the middle. So I can obviously shoot fairly well, even without trying too hard, right? But there's quite a big difference, and what I want to illustrate is a notion of time and tempo. Now, when I was following a strict 4-beat tempo, all my shots were here, these shots and this shot. On target, yes, but pretty erratic. The 3 shots where I didn't follow a tempo but still snapshot were these 3 here. And that's pretty damn good for thumb shooting. And that's instinctively. Now, what's important here is a difference in tempo and timing. When I was following a strict 4-beat tempo, I could hit the target. That wasn't a problem. If I did it properly, I might be even better. But all my 4-beat shots were kind of everywhere because I was pressured by time. I couldn't do a full draw and full alignment and proper anchor because the tempo had to be followed. When I dropped the tempo and I just shot instinctively with snap shooting, they all landed here. And that is pretty good for thumb draw at 10 meters. There's a difference between instinctive shooting, where you are just shooting by feel, as compared to shooting deliberately, but with very fast decision making. And I'll explain this in a bit. The point is that not every archery is meant to be fast or instinctive. Historically, that's not the case. You just simply don't train archers to shoot as fast as possible and maybe hit the target. That very fast shooting could miss a target by 100 meters down the range. That's not good enough. So it's really a myth to think that you have to shoot quickly, you have to shoot by feel, and hopefully God's guidance will make the arrow hit the target. That isn't the case. You have control of the shot. It's your talent and your skill which drives where the arrow will go. Now, this is more like what we're talking about. The target's now at 30 meters, and suddenly it looks a lot further away. Now, those really nice instinctive groupings might be true for a 10-meter shot, maybe 20 meters, maybe even 30. And I think a really good instinctive shooter can hit that gold spot at around this distance. Past here, it's going to be tougher. You're going to see a lot more spread, far less consistency. So I want to be able to deliberately hit that gold. First shot, second shot, every shot. And I cannot guess what I'm going to do. I want to find exactly what I'm going to do to make sure I get it there. Now, my process isn't the same as your process. everyone's process is different. The way you're taught will be different. You might learn from a more traditional curriculum or framework. You might be self-taught and use modern techniques or modern principles. So what I do isn't important. The important thing is identifying what I'm doing. Now, given that I know my equipment and my limitations, for example, I wear glasses, so I can't actually align the arrow too high because I'll hit my glasses. So I've got a limit in terms of what I can do. I work around that. So when I shoot, I'm following 3 things in my mind. Number 1 is cheek, and that is I want to make sure I touch my cheek, specifically this bone, the bony part of the cheek, with the shaft. And I want to feel not the feathers, but the actual shaft itself here. I draw quite long with these bows, so I want to feel the shaft here. That's 1. My second step is check, and that means for me, I'm checking where my arrow is on the target. Now with the thumb draws, the arrow's on the opposite side, it's kind of hard to see the arrow tip. But what I do use is a method where I look on this side of the bow. That's called inside. I look through it and I follow the shaft. So I can kind of see the arrow tip if I look carefully enough, but it should be pointing at a very specific spot. And for me, this spot at 30 meters is going to be slightly below that gold spot there. Not exactly in the middle, but slightly below it. The last thing I really need to remind myself to do is to punch. Now, what does that actually mean? Again, it's not a technique you see in textbooks. For me, the punch is to remember to squeeze the hand and let the shot go forward. So rather than collapse, I want to move the shot forward, and it's a nice cutthroat, which I do with this bow. So that's my 3 steps. It's cheek, check, and punch. Those are my action words. Let's do it. So I always say before I do a preload, cheek, check, and punch. So cheek, check, and punch. That was a low shot, so I'll correct that. All right, I'll go, did I follow all my steps? I didn't, because I didn't give time to check. I just said it, but I didn't do it properly. Let's take a bit longer to do it. So go cheek, check, and punch. Cheek, check, punch. We're middle and we're high, so that's correct. This is my warm-up shots. I haven't shot today yet, apart from the instinctive shooting. So this is it. We're building accuracy organically. Cheek, check, punch. All right, we're in the middle. Let's do it again. So cheek, check, punch. Cheek, check, punch. Hit my glasses. All right, I'll fix that. That was low because I hit my glasses. This is a problem glasses people have. We're going to deal with that. Cheek, check, punch. Really bad. Okay. But we're not rushing the shots. We're going to identify what we do. Cheek, check, and punch. There we go, right in the middle. Let's do it again and make this deliberate. Cheek, check, punch, high. I know why, I anchored too low. It wasn't tight enough, I put my thumb ring lower. So we fix that. Thumb ring right spot, on the cheek, and we're close to the middle again. Let's do it again. Cheek, check, punch in the middle. Cheek, check it, punch it, middle. Bounced out, but middle. Let's do another one. Cheek, check, punch in the middle. Let's shoot a whistling arrow for fun. Cheek, check, punch in the middle. Shoot a second whistling arrow. That's a soft one. Same thing. Cheek, check, punch. If there's anything else I need to do, I'll add it to my mental process. But I'm saying to myself, cheek, check, and punch it. Punch it with this hand. So let's see if we can now first shot in that gold. So cheek, check, and punch. Touch my cheek, check the arrow point, punch it. Pretty close to the middle, slightly right. And we do it again. Cheek, check, and punch. Cheek, check, punch. Middle, slightly left. Cheek, check, punch. Exactly in the middle. Same thing. Cheek, check, punch. Middle. Cheek, check, punch. Slightly high but middle. Cheek, check, punch. Middle. Cheek, check, punch. Middle. cheek, check, punch, middle. That's a bad punch. I felt my arm drop too soon there. Cheek, check, punch. I didn't like that shot. That was too high. It was middle but too high. What I felt was I didn't take the time to check my cheek. I rushed it. I went low. The result was a shot a little high. That's our last shot. The rest are roughly here. I think we can do better than this. This is kind of loose. I think if we refine it, take more time, slow down a bit more, we can do better. The shots are okay, but not all have the same good feeling. Wasn't a good punch, slightly slip on the anchor, because I'm not giving myself time. Let's take this time. All right, cheek, check, and punch it. Cheek, check, punch it. Not bad. Cheek, check, and punch it. Not bad. Good spot. A little low, but good spot. Walking lower, so I'm doing something differently this time. Let's go full draw. There we go, back up. So my anchor was dropping a bit. I didn't draw as much, so my shaft wasn't as far back. That's why I started dropping low. Same spot, but wasn't the same anchor, dropped lower. Restore that, went back to the same level. So setting full draw on the cheek. Good. Oh, that was high. Now why is it high? What did I do differently? You always self-talk. Elevation is either I pointed wrong or I anchored wrong. I don't remember what I did, so I make sure I do both right now. So cheek and check, do it properly. Yep, that's the same grouping there. What's interesting about this grouping is how straight it is. I've got a few on this side. Those are my first few shots. Once I fix my alignment, we've got a nice corridor here, but we're walking down. So we're going here, here, down a couple, back up here, up one, down a few. All right, that is something you can diagnose. There's no mystery. I can go, well, this isn't an alignment issue as much. This isn't so much me shooting left and right. That's not the problem. This is to do with two things. Either the front of the arrow is pointed the wrong way, or the back of the arrow is pointed the wrong way. Now I can't tell which is which. So all I do is say, okay, I'm just not paying attention. I've got to pay attention to exactly what that is. But I feel more often it's this which is lacking. I'm not doing the same spot every single time. So we build into our process. We make sure we do it right. We check. All right, check, check. Let's get full draw. Let's take the time to pick the spot. I'm not focused enough on where I'm looking at. I'm just guessing now. So let's restore that process. Punch it hard, but more importantly, look at that spot. What is my spot? I haven't caught it yet. My spot. Bottom of the gold ring. And that hit something. Let's try again. Bottom gold ring. That wasn't a good shot. Hit something. Hit my sleeve, that's why. That's a gold shot. So we'll pick that bottom gold ring. I hit my sleeve again. Oh my goodness. Okay. Same spot though. Hit the gold, but that's interference. Yep. I'm just now eyeing in the bottom edge of the gold circle. Yep. Bottom edge gold circle. Yep. Same thing. Bottom edge gold circle. Oops. Flung that shot. Bad, bad, bad. So that didn't count. I aimed right, but I lost my focus to everything else. I was looking at the bird walking across, got distracted, lost the focus, shot went wide. That's on me. Block it out. Bottom edge of gold. Ooh. A little wide there. One more time. Bottom edge of gold. There. So slightly better. First shot hit something, not sure what I hit. Might be glasses or sleeve or something that went really low. Couple of wide shots, but they grabbed things more towards middle. This is what I mean by aim small, miss small. Instead of aiming for somewhere on gold, I'm picking a very specific spot to line up my shaft. It's here somewhere. It might be a little too low, although they're kind of drifting high. I might just go above here next time. So I'm calling it, I'm gonna put slightly above the bottom of this gold disc. Let's do everything else the same, as much as we can. Oh, okay. Oh, good. It is floating a little higher though, so maybe it's an overcorrection, but we'll keep on doing the same spot. Good. 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 I can tell the flight before it hits. We're doing the right thing now. So that spot is a good spot. Good. I didn't look. I actually didn't look. I got overconfident. The height was okay, but I didn't pay attention to exactly where I was. I just went too fast. I got excited. I was careless. I didn't have to do that. That was a choice I made, a very bad choice. We reset, we do it again. Good. Good. Oh, no, that wasn't good. That's like immediately much better. That's a grouping right there. 30-meter grouping there. That was a sloppy shot. That was when I stopped paying attention. That's my first shot, I think. And that was my yuck shot, the last one. I thought was good, it wasn't. All right, but the ones I said were good, we're all hitting here. That's respectable. Now, just to prove a point, I'm gonna do 9 arrows very quickly. All right, this is what people might think is speed shooting. But what I'm going to do is do exactly what I've taught myself to do. That's cheekbone, pick the spot, which is the bottom part of the gold, and punch it. But I want to make the decisions very quickly. I'm not going to articulate them, let's do it very quickly. I have one more step too now. Being organic here, I actually want to scratch the back of my head. My good releases finish here. Sometimes I finish here, not good enough, I'm plucking it, so I want to finish here, just to remind myself to align. I think my 2 points, the aim and anchor, are consistent enough, but my alignment is off when I'm shooting. So to guarantee that, I'm going to remind myself to poke the back of my head, like scratch here, okay? So those are my things. I'm going to do all 4, check, check, punch, scratch. And I'm going to do it really quickly. So 9 in a row. I'm not going to think about it. Right into gold. Whoop, sloppy. Height was good. They're a good shot so far, apart from those 2 on the left. Well, given that rapid set of 9, we've got 4 very good shots here, 2 hits here drifting, so some drifting shots, but we've got 4 excellent shots. That's with the tempo that you saw. So it can work, but I'm not instinctively shooting. It might look like it, I'm just pulling back and letting go. I'm actually not instinctively shooting. What I'm doing is making very fast decisions. I'm going, this is fine, go, these 2. So it's fast execution. Now it doesn't mean I'm going to shoot worse necessarily, because if I make the right decision, it's going to hit the right spot. It's just that when I go faster, especially between shots, the shot itself can be fast, but if I'm not resetting my mental process between each shot, then I'm at risk of losing concentration. That's what these shots are giveaways. I've lapsed in what I need to see, so I need to give myself time to mentally reset. The faster I shoot between each arrow, the less time I have. So I might be shooting the next arrow, but I'm still thinking about the last one. So that's a crucial part of any form of archery, is give yourself time to reset each shot. Otherwise, the secret isn't in having to aim harder, it's making the right decisions. All right, so the last 9, let's cement this. The point is, we know how to hit gold first shot 30 meters. That means we should be able to do it every single shot. Consistency is a matter of focus and concentration, but that means you can do it on demand. That's the difference between marksmanship and just instinctive speed shooting. We can guarantee our first hit will be the one that hits the mark. And it is. Don't guess. No. That one hit my glasses. Shot was gold. I didn't scratch. That was a bad release. I didn't come the way around. So that last shot was good enough, but I didn't follow all my steps, so it wasn't guaranteed. That was a gamble. It paid off. I didn't want that. Take control again. There. See that? Cheek, check, punch, scratch. I do that, shot is clean. I do what it takes. The action words match what I need to do to get a clean shot. Same spot. Slightly right, but in the middle. Same spot. Nope, there. I didn't like that. I was floating. That's my last shot. I was tired, but hit the same spot. Let's have a look. And I think that really shows it. This one hit the frame of my glasses. I flinched, went high. So that one cost me my 9 out of 9. But for everything else, that's all in the gold there. Considering what I'm shooting, this is not bad. I don't expect to be splitting arrows with an Asiatic bow at this distance on that exact circle there. I'm aiming at a pretty big target face. I've got a pretty vague reference point, but each time I shot, and I must clarify, not instinctive. I had a very active process. What you don't see was me going through every decision consciously as I shot. I really made sure I hit this. I really made sure, even though it might be floating very momentarily, that it actually hits the right spot here before I continue. When I choose to release, it's a punch and a scratch motion. So the result is 8 fairly clean shots. This last one a little low. That's my last shot, I think. But everything else though, acceptable. Is it great? No. Again, refinement of technique will make this better. If I had a much more deliberate release, if I had a much better control of my draw length and didn't collapse as much, I might see a better result. But this means that my fundamentals are correct. Aim, anchor, and alignment. I've achieved that by articulating it through a set of action words which I use with a bow, which is what many people think is much hard to use. So I'm pretty happy with this because why? It was on demand. First shot hit where I wanted to. The last shot hit where I wanted to. No surprises, no guessing. Once you get past the randomness of archery and you realize that you can do this on demand, then you own your archery, and that's your shot process. This is more important than following textbooks or reading ancient texts and finding out all the incantations you use and sacrifices. This is the heart of archery, your archery. It's being adaptive. Like I said before, you will find no textbook which goes through my 4 steps I just made up. I make them up to match the things that I use to guarantee that I do the right thing. When I teach somebody else, they might use different words. When you teach yourself, you use different trigger words. Your underlying process may be the form you've learned. If you've learned Turkish style or Arab style or Gao Ying style, that's the fundamental backbone of your physical technique. But what's important is your mental technique. Whatever it takes to build up your accuracy, you do. That was fun. Okay, I would have liked to show you perfect shooting. I don't train with this bow well enough, right? I've only recently started scaling up my training to shoot more competitively with Asiatic bow, and there are very, very few competitions, so there's no reason to really train for this. So because of that, it's often easy to say, as long as it's on target, good enough. But when you hold yourself to a higher standard with a higher goal, then that need to shoot more precisely becomes the motivation to refine your technique. And I hope this motivates you to shoot better than what you are right now, better than me, I hope. But like I said, the main thing to take away is you control your shot. It is your talent and your skill that determines where the arrow will go. I do hope you find it helpful. I do hope you find it interesting, and I do hope that you take ownership and you find ways to make your archery better. Thank you all for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time.